Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here in the garage, Area 51 Fleet Line. Some of you guys have been here before, so you know that. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. That would be awesome. This go around, we're sort of working on a whole bunch of things all at once. It's all little kind of things, nitty gritty stuff again. Just getting stuff prepared and ready for the reassembly in the near future. So it's like a little bit of prep on headlight buckets and paint and other bits of sheet metal and bracketry. No, some work on the fender skirts and getting some final bits of underseal and black paint and stuff done. So it's just things like that. Rubbers on the fender skirts as well. So anyway, let's get at it. Got a lot to get through, so let's go. Let's do it. Alrighty, so in my little room of treasures back here in the old DMAC Customs garage, I'm working way through my stuff. Some of it I'm actually making a little bit of space by putting heaters and things like that in, but down here we've got these panels. This is the top panel for the C notch, and that's the front panel for the sort of step notch, the front panel. We've got these sill plate things that I made that are basically for wiring covers and stuff, and headlight buckets and my drive shaft loop. I forgot that was there. So that stuff all has to kind of come out and now get kind of ready for paint and stuff. But these headlight buckets are they're actually in, we'll take them over to the bench, but they look a bit scruffy, but they're actually just kind of covered in crap on the back side. Hopefully that's not screws and shit falling off that I need. But I mean, they're a bit of surface rust on the inside, but they're generally in pretty good order. I mean, even the adjusters looking, you know, still quite clean, you know. But backside they've got a bit of bitumen and crap on them, and obviously the wiring. Yeah, she's a bit crispy. Oh, is there a spring on that one? Yep. And we've got this little rubber gasket that goes around them as well. This one here is, well, that might come off a bit easier than I was thinking. But yeah, so I'm just going to kind of tear them down, like take all the wiring and stuff out and see if I can salvage that little rubber strip. And then we might just chuck these in the freezer for a little bit to harden up this bitumen stuff, and it just makes it scrape off like way easier. But yeah, the tricky part, I think I was going to be getting this wiring in. So these little rubber grommets are pretty. There's a metal clip around those. Might have to replace those grommets with something else anyway, but yeah, there's like a compression clip around there, obviously to seal that up, but I can't see an end to it. Might have to butcher that and get it off. Might end up having to just cut all this, all that wire pulled through. Not really. Maybe some nippers. Yeah, see, this rubber grommety thing is pretty toasted. This is, yeah, I don't know how that clip worked. Maybe one piece came down over the wiring and then just got crimped on there. This is I don't know why I'm trying to save this. I might just cut that. I'm not going to use that wiring anyway. It's the plug I'm probably more concerned about. Will I need to reuse that? I'm not sure. Probably be able to find new plugs though, but keep that. Nippers in there. Tear that mamma jammer off. Throw it in the bin. Pull that plug. Keep that. I'm not sure if they're a left and a right. I've got it written on them, but I've got a funny feeling it don't matter. I'm looking at them there, they look the same. Yeah, no, they do look the same. Sweet, that's right then. Alright, I'm going to destroy these grommets as well. I think that's how you do it. Get a knife or something. Actually, before I do that, I want to see if I can relieve this. The seals are actually in pretty good order. They just look a bit compressed, but I'm going to reuse them, clean them and reuse them. Put them in the electrical box. I'm going to get these bloody grommets off. This is feeling dangerous. Gotcha. Oh yeah, there we go. Got them out. So I'll just use a more, you know, get a new grommet and maybe some mastic or something when I put the wiring back in there. Uh-oh, hang on. Bucket seat's out of the way. Is that enough? There it is. Okay, so I just put them in there to percolate for a little while and hopefully make that bitumen stuff real brittle, and that'll just scrape off super easy. Done it once before, but I can only do it on small stuff because I only got a little freezer down here. So a lot of people use dry ice to get that bitumen off, and I haven't tried dry ice, but I'd say it would work, considering the way I've seen it work with just putting small pieces in the freezer. But yeah, so I guess while that stuff's kind of freezing, I'll get into prepping up some of the other pieces that have got to be done. To do that, I have to move some cars around, get some space to work in here, so we'll be back in a minute. Finally take these down, and I might just put them in here out of the way for now. These are my rear bumper brackets, so I can get to my panel stands, because I don't need those today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just gently put them there. Okay, so grab these panel stands out and grab out some of these other pieces that have got to be prepped up, cleaned up, get ready to put some primer of sorts or something on them, you know what I mean? Then we can get them painted. Okay, so just got me some isopropyl alcohol. I'm just giving these a bit of a wipe down before I start. Try and get some of the Sharpie pen marks off, which I always forget to do this. And then I try and paint something, and even after I've gone over it with a DA, there's still remnants of that pen there, and it just leaches through your primers and paints and stuff. So I will endeavour to get as much off it as possible on these pieces, and then we'll run over them. I wonder if I should give them a bit of a file. I've got burn through marks and that from the drilling these. If you're new to the channel, these panels here, these will come into play in a little bit. If you've been around for a while, you know what they're for. Basically, they're just going to hide all my wiring, but also create a bit of a lip in the floor pan, if you know what I mean, sort of an artificial ridge. know what I'm saying. But yeah, there's 2 parts to each side. Got another part over here. Just clean those up while I'm thinking about it. So each side's got 2 pieces, and these are just designed to run my wiring and stuff underneath these things, kind of down what would be just above the rockers, you know, the sill area, rather than, you know, just under the carpet and things like that. There's quite a bit of wiring that runs down the back for all the air ride and crap like that, and I wanted to kind of put it under something that's protected and all that kind of stuff. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original kind of rear harness wiring and stuff, I think actually ran up through the A-pillar. Some of it did. Most likely, definitely the dome light and stuff, but I actually think some of the other stuff run down in there as well, and then up over the roof line for some reason. And because I noticed that when I cut the roof, I actually cut through some wiring that I didn't know was there. Again, I didn't pull this car apart, so I don't know exactly where everything ran from factory and that. And yeah, I could probably download a factory workshop manual and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not doing a restoration, I'm doing a custom, so I'm just doing things my way, so that's what these are for. Anyway, I'll carry on getting all these pin marks cleaned off these, and then we'll start prepping all this stuff up to get some primer of some sort on there. I'm trying to decide whether to use epoxy or whether to just use my single stage etch, since it's, you know, none of it's really going to be too exposed. But yeah, anyway, carry on. Just doing a bit of a whiz over these with the old DA and some bit of hand sanding and some of this stuff. Just kind of this particular steel's got some kind of zinc coating over it, I think. So it's just really more to give it a little bit of an extra key to stick to, rough it up a little bit, nothing too heavy, more bit of lightweight sort of sanding as such. But yeah, so I'll keep going with this, get these all prepped up, then I'm going to get some, as I said earlier, some primer on these things, and then while I'm waiting for that won't take long to dry, and then I might spray some stone guard around on the undersides, like under here, and on the underside of the other panel there, and on these things. These are, they go up inside the rear guards, like that, I think. And yeah, get those ready to squirt a little bit of black or something on. And yeah, then hopefully my headlight buckets will be chilled sufficiently to remove the bitumen, and they're going to start sanding those as well. So let's carry on. Yeah. So that's those all kind of sanded and prepped. They've all got to be dusted off and wiped down and stuff now. Might just maybe chuck a cover over the old Area 51s, so you know we don't get any inadvertent spray of any sort over there on that. You know, not that it'll really make that much difference, but you know, got to look after these things. It is new paint technically after all. So yeah, got to put some stuff away. A few of these holes I kind of drilled out a little bit more because I remember got away with me on the step bit there, so that hole's bigger. Some of those holes were quite snug when I was sort of bolting it all up and things like that, so I just sort of opened them up. Decent washers on there, they'll be fine. And yeah, I mean, it's all just going to be painted black, or maybe that hammer finish. I don't know if I got enough of that left, but might just sort of spray them black. They'll be different to the floors and the boot floor and stuff, but it doesn't really matter. They're all going to be covered up anyway, except for the top of that. Not sure what I'm doing with that yet, because that's where all the compressors and air tanks sit on top of the step notch. So they may just stay as just black. maybe, I don't know, like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll paint it black for now anyways. But yeah, so I've got put some stuff away, wipe some stuff down, mix up some primer and get some primer on these things. I can cover the 51 up. Yeah, missed a bit of dusting off. I've got to give these one more wipe down. Ready to go and shoot some primer with my like flash as primer gun. Now that spray gun there I just use for that 1K black edge, and I've been doing it for years. I have not cleaned out that gun in probably close to a decade. It's just had the same stuff in it, and it just keeps going. But now I've jinxed it, it'll probably crap out on me right now. But anyway, so I've got to shoot some primer on the back side of all of this stuff and those bits on the bench and hang them up somewhere, and then might chuck them out in the sun so they can kind of go off, and then I can flip them over and spray the upper side with primer, and then once that's dry, splatter paint stuff. So let's do it. Okay, battery's about to die. So that's the underside done, and a couple of coats on each of those bits and that drive shaft hoopity hoop. So I've got to let those dry off before I can do the other side. This doesn't take very long with this particular etch primer, epoxy etch stuff, the wattle stuff. I've used this before, I've talked about it before, this particular product. It's just an off the shelf at the hardware. I call it an epoxy etch primer. It's a single stage, no hardener. It's just thinned with its, well, I'm thinning it with methylated spirits at the moment, so you can't get thinners, but in Australia they thin it with the metho. I've used it for years and it's got really good rust inhibiting properties. If you seal it up properly, it's good for however long, you know. So anyway, using that, a little bit out of sorts today. Banged my head yesterday, like not like rock music banging your head. I got rear-ended on the way to work yesterday morning in my little Toyota daily driver that I bought as a little cheapie, you know, and yeah, so I got fucking banged up the back of the car, and my head went back and hit the headrest, and it kind of, I had this kind of weird headache ever since. It was gone first thing this morning, but it's kind of come back. Paint fumes don't help. It wasn't a super heavy hit. Like, the car's still drivable, can't open the tailgate, it's a wagon. But yeah, it wasn't a heavy hit, but it was enough to kind of rattle the old brain box, if you know what I mean, and give me a kind of weird achy head, and this morning a little bit of a stiff neck, so maybe a little bit of the old whiplash. And yeah, a little bit kind of fuzzy around the edges, to be fair, but I'll show you. Yeah, so there's the poor old thing. Pop the bumper out and that was bent up a bit more, but I tried to push it down so I could get the tailgate open, which I haven't been able to do yet. And yeah, so I got a bit of a knock up there, but yeah, it wasn't a, it was, I was moving fortunately, and the lady behind me, apparently we had been stopped and she'd put her car into neutral, and then when we started moving again, I moved off, probably got to about 10 mile an hour or something like that, and I think she had her foot on the gas, not the brake, when she put it back into drive. So she said something about putting it into neutral when we were stopped, and then she just lurched forward and smack-a-rooed into the back of the old toy motor, and yeah, kind of sent the old brain box backwards into the headrest, and it's quite a way. That headrest's actually quite a fair way away from the back of your head in that particular car. Yeah, so I've got this weird headache. So if I'm a bit mumbly or a bit like vague today, vaguer than usual, that's my excuse this week. Okay, so anyway, watch some paint dry and then we'll be back. Okay, something I just remembered I needed to do, which is the inside of these. One of them. One of these. Sorry, I just remembered I needed to paint these little brackets, little lever things that are loosely bolted on here at the moment, and mask these off and do some stone guard on the inside of them, just a bit of sound deadening more than anything. Wrong way. Just noted that this lever on this side needs to be bent a little bit. Just quickly do this while I'm remembering. Oh shit, might need a hitting thing. Gentle hammer. They gotta be painted black. Put that nut back on there for safekeeping. Yeah, down there, that one. Right, so I've got to mask this off. Okay, so that's one fender skirt masked up and away. I need to cover up that rear quarter again so I don't get splatter paint on there and don't scratch things. So I'll get ahead, get this one masked up. At the time that one's ready to go, everything will be dry enough to squirt some stone guard around the place, and then we'll have to wait for that to dry, and then we can see how those headlight buckets are going. Yeah, so I'll get this one done and we'll be back in a minute. Alrighty, so pretty much ready to rock and roll with squirting some splatter paint, other than sorry, back. I had to just recover the rear quarter of the 51 because I keep forgetting, because you know, forget stuff. Where was I going with that? That's right, got my little splatter booth set up, so some of the smaller pieces I'll hold down there just so we don't end up, you know, showering it too far around the place, but we're going to do that anyway. So let's get at it. I've got to figure out what order I want to do all this in and how to go about it. So let's do it. Oh, someone's barbecuing. Got these out in the sun. It's a much warmer day than it was last time I sprayed that stuff. Mind you, I sprayed that at night last time as well, so it will dry off pretty quick. The only kind of downside is I don't know what I've got in the way of black, like to paint these things. I've got a couple of, got some black 2K like single stage, which I use for the inner fenders and stuff. It's real nice. I just don't know how it'll go on that primer. It's not the right primer for it. I do have one rattle can, I think, of this, and that's satin. I want gloss. Ah, there's another can of gloss there. Nearly empty. Why have I got two nearly empty cans of gloss black and one satin full? And a little bit of black lacquer, some Rust-Oleum. I've got some glossy Rust-Oleum, but I don't think it likes that primer that much as well. That's what I had trouble with the old what do you call it? The brake booster. And I ended up redoing that with that Rust Kill stuff, which is a real nice hard enamel. But I would like to do them in that 2K black just because it's tough. But yeah, I don't know. Just don't know how it'll hold. It'll be cool though, just for practice, you know. But anyway, I'll have a think about it. May have to shoot out and see if I can pick up something. I've got a tiny bit of that hammer finish left, which I could use for those sill plate things, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to be covered with carpet, so it's sort of, if I'm going to be setting up to do one thing, I might as well just do it all the same. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it. I'm babbling now. Pulled these out of the freezer. This is the worst of the two. It's got a bit of that bitumen shit stuck on there, so cold. Alrighty, these headlight buckets are probably another example of a really good case for sandblasting. You know what I'm saying? But as I've said before, I don't have a sandblaster, or at the moment the funds to go and pay someone to do it, so I have to do this the old-fashioned way. Just wire wheels and brute strength and ignorance. You know what I'm saying. So I might drag out, speaking of wire wheels, drag out some wire wheels and see which kind of toolage is going to suit this the best. The inside I can probably get away with just a good sand. That one's not so bad. That one's a bit rustier on the inside. That one's, yeah, that one's rustier on the outside too. So they might get a bit of a treatment before we go too far. Well, before we put any other primers or anything on there with some old duplicolor rust fix. You know that stuff, we use it all the time. Right, wire wheels, I'll see if we can get some more of this scaly crap off. That's as far as I'm going to take those. I'm going to do some duplicolor rust fix on them next, just to kind of convert whatever rust is left behind. I've done it this way on lots of stuff, and it seems to hold up, and plus these have held up for the last, how many decades? In much worse conditions than they're going to be living in the future, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll go and grab some rust fix and I'll squirt that on there, and yeah, then once that's dry, then we can get some primer on them and then get them into the system for the black, which I still haven't made any decisions on as yet. Also, I did note that I thought these were symmetrical, but they are. What was it? Something I was looking at before. I'm sure I was looking at it. Must have been looking at it upside down or something. Oh, I don't know. I must be seeing things. Before, when I was looking at these, I thought one of those was offset to the other side, one of those adjusters. And honestly, but they are offset to one side, so that means they do go a certain way. Does it? No. Won't matter. So if that's the top, and I'll move from left to right, it's exactly the same. Just disregard all of that waffle about left and right. I don't know what I was thinking. I'd looked at it before and got it in my head that it that it had left and right, and then I don't know. It just, maybe I banged my head yesterday a little harder than I thought. I don't know. So you've probably, if you've been here for a while, you've heard me rabbiting on about this duplicolor rust fix. Now, it doesn't fix rust, it doesn't cut it out and weld plates in for you. It just converts surface rusty stuff, you know, like into like a black etch primer. Apparently, stops rust on contact, sandable, paintable for a smooth finish, applies clear, turns rusted surfaces black. Yeah, so that's what I use anyway. Smells weird though. This one here actually had a bit of red oxide overspray inside it, so I didn't want to sand that too much in case it's red. In the old days I used to use red lead, you know. The old red oxide was full of lead. Not good for your sanding and stuff, you know. So I thought I'd leave it pretty well alone, especially because I wasn't wearing a mask. That's it. Now this, arm's getting tired. Leave that up there to dry. Those up there to dry for the recommended like 12 hours or whatever it is, and then we'll squirt some grey epoxy X primer on those, same as we did with the other stuff earlier on today, and make a decision on what I'm doing about the black. Still haven't decided what to do, whether to have a crack at just throwing some of that 2K stuff at it, or go and buy some more rattle cans or some more hammer finish. I don't know, still thinking about that. Alright, got some of this Omega black lacquer, which I thought I might just anyway use on the underside of these just as a sealer. Since I've got it. Okay, so that's the underside of those painted. It was, as I was painting down the ear, I was looking at that, it was going flat, and I was like, what's going on with this paint? Then I had to actually look at the can, it was actually flat black, so that's why it was going flat. Funny that. But yeah, so that's them in primer, not primer, in black. This is the underside. We're not going to see any of these anyway. This is purely just to seal it up. They're going under the carpet, but yeah, I just want them painted so they look right and not just steel. So I'm going to chuck those back outside in the bake oven, and they'll be dry enough for hopefully maybe after lunch I can kind of make a decision, make a call on how I'm going to paint this other black, the top sides of everything, you know. Yeah. Okay, so decided to just use what I've got for now, which is some high gloss Rust-Oleum to do these inside of these skirts. I'm not too worried about it if it kind of fish eyes or anything, does any weird Rust-Oleum stuff. This is again just a kind of a sealer, make it washable. That'll do us, I reckon. So, had just enough to do those sill plates. Haven't done anything with those yet, but I've done that inside of the fender skirts and those sill plates. So now I've got that rust cool enamel, which I really like how it finishes up, but it's just real slow drying. So that'll be a kind of end of the day type of deal. I may blast the underside of these, this side of both of these, and those two pieces there, and then let them dry overnight, and then I can flip them over and do the top side tomorrow. Yeah? Yeah, what the hell. Let's do it. Okay, so had the camera pointing at the bench and I was working over here. Kind of only just scraped in with enough paint to get a couple of coats onto those, the back side of those two. Haven't touched those, but yeah, that's it for today. I think I'm gonna have to go down to the hardware and buy some more paint tomorrow morning so I can do the other sides and those pieces down there. Still got to do the inside of the front guards. Might just grab a rattle can of some black lacquer and just blacken that stuff up in there to jack it up and take the wheels off, I think. But anyway, another story. But yeah, we got the other stuff all out here in the bake oven. She's a bit windy, but the stuff dries pretty quick. Yeah, she's already touch dry, so that's all good. And yeah, so I have to put these somewhere out of the way because I might be able to put some primer on those now. Oh, I still got to do that drive shaft hoop as well. That's got to be satin, so I can do that with the Rust-Oleum satin because all the chassis stuff's satin black. And yeah, so I'll move these somewhere and then we'll be back. I forgot, this can's got a thing where it likes to blow back and just get all over your finger. Doesn't spray very nice either, this particular can. I don't know whether, you know, doing lots of little things is not really that good for them. You're supposed to turn them upside down. These are upside down cans. You turn it upside down, it'll just keep pumping paint out. It won't clean the nozzle. That'll do us. Right. Usually works better spraying up the way, strangely enough. Okay, so that's them in primer. I'm running out of supplies on pretty much everything. That's pretty much toast now as well. So I need to empty my bin, and maybe when I go and stock up on things or how much of that am I likely to need. I do need to get some more gloss of that. I need some black lacquer for under that front guard as well, so because that's, you know, kind of how I've done all the underside of the cars, just in black lacquer. It's just easy to touch up as long as you go like for like. The only thing that's not black lacquer under the car now is those bolt-on panels, so that's fine. And so I've got to paint those. I need black lacquer for those under the front guards, and then rust kill for the headlight buckets and the other side of those panels. Because yeah, so that's about it for today. So unless I go down to the hardware today, but my little grandson's coming around, so I might hang out with him. Not have to, but I might hang out with him instead. So till tomorrow, I think. I was hoping to get everything all painted today so I can kind of bolt some of it on tomorrow, but yeah, it might not happen yet. Anyway, till tomorrow. Okay, so back from the hardware. I picked up some more rust kill wattle. I'm gonna spray or rattle can the headlight buckets and these little panels that go inside the rear wheel arches, and then tomorrow all I have to do is flip these over and paint the other side of these. They're still too tacky to flip them over today, but yeah, so we'll get into that. I'm going to do it out here in the old paint booth. Okay, so that's one coat on those pieces. I'll just let them kind of tack off a bit, give them half an hour, 40 minutes or something, and then I might give them another coat. Optimal coverage and protection. Okay, so just remembered I forgot these little doohickeys here. They're part of the fender skirt thing, you know. So I'll quickly paint them. They've already had a etch prime. Hang them up to dry. Okay, so that's those bits all enameled. It's just, yeah, like I said earlier, the other side of those boot panels, which I can do in the morning, and then we might look at gluing the rubbers and that on the fender skirts, and then, you know, having them completely finished up and done. Yeah, so we'll have that. If we put those glue the rubbers on these fender skirts, they're going to get glued around where you can see that tape. That'll be pretty much those things completely finished. These sill plates, they're all done as far as they're going to get done, so they can get screwed in once we've got the car wired. And yeah, the fender skirts will be done. Before I do the fender skirts, I can bolt those up underneath if I've got hardware for it. I'm not actually sure now. I thought it was just kind of like a screw, but it actually looks like it's like a little 1/4 inch, or, you know, a little threaded thingamajig. jig. So I'll have to have a proper investigate up under there. May have to take the wheels off to do that, unfortunately. And yes, I mean, the headlights will be ready to go as well for when we get into the wiring, which will be soon. We're going to get some wiring underway, probably not all done in one foul swoop, but I'll start laying it out and figure out what I'm missing and what else I need. And yeah, so anyway, till tomorrow again. We'll see you then. Okay, so next day, as you can see, rattle canning these two pieces here. Just going to lay that dust coat down and let that set up for, well, in this kind of temperature, probably 45 minutes, and then I'll give it one more kind of flood, and that should be them, hopefully. A couple of coats is usually all it needs of this stuff. Occasionally 3, but you know, I could probably do 3 coats on this, have them laying flat, but if you got things vertical with spraying enamel like this, any more than 2 coats and you run the risk of it just kind of starting to run on you. It gets too heavy because it stays wetter for longer. Next up, got to dig out a brake booster for a mate who's coming to pick that up. Let's try it on his car. And then we might start looking at, we'll get that second coated, and then we'll finally get these fender skirts sorted out, I reckon, hopefully. Okay, so while I'm waiting for my paint to flash off, I had a thought last night. So I want to bolt those half moon shaped panels up underneath the rear arches and get that done, so get those pieces out of the way, and so I don't keep forgetting about it. So I keep forgetting, you know what I'm trying to say. And I realised I didn't have any nuts and bolts for them, and they're a 1/4-20 little short bolt, needs 16 of them, and I sort of went through all of there, and they're not in the kit. So went through my magic drawer of nuts and bolts, and I found a whole bunch of 1/4-20 nuts and bolts that came off my Plymouth Fury, which I think they're like rocker cover bolts. So they're a bit blue and a bit grubby, some of them. So I'm gonna give them a wee soak in some lacquer thinners here, get all the blue paint off them. They don't have to be pretty, I just don't really want blue bolts up under there for some reason. And and it's always a good idea when you're painting stuff to do things with greasy old nuts and bolts. It's good. Okay, so speaking of painting stuff, this is that first kind of dust coat. This is what we used to call a tack coat with enamel, spraying enamel. So what I always do, and what I was taught, was to touch your back of your finger to it, somewhere where you've got a good loading of paint that isn't important. And if it pulls paint off on your finger, which that doesn't, then it's ready for its second coat. So, second coat time. Now, I'm no rattle can expert, so I'm not a painting expert, but I used to do alright with spraying enamel. I actually did alright, probably better with that than I do with most other paints. So. Can was starting to spit and fart around a bit towards the end there, so yeah, it is what it is. But these may be covered up yet anyway, I'm not too sure, but I just want to get a good coat of black on them, seal them up, and I mean, they're in the boot. Might even get like boot carpet over the top of them, not too sure, but we'll cross that bridge later. You know, make it up as you go along type stuff. Alright, these will be well dry now, so I can bring them back inside and get ready to put some rubbers around them. I'll just quickly do the unmask on these on Fendi skirts. See if I can do this in the least awkward way possible. Okay, so when I bought this car, it came, as I've told you before, if you're new to the channel, I've told you before, I bought the car and it came with a bunch of stuff, right? Like, the person before me had accumulated a bunch of parts and various bits and pieces for the car, but some stuff anyway, like a nut and bolt kit, which is 70% of a nut and bolt kit, a rubber kit, which turns out 70% of a rubber kit. And it came with sort of standard reproduction fender skirts and that, and they'd already done some repair work on the rear quarters, and so these reproduction fender skirts wouldn't fit in either side, but they came with the rubber. So I'm going to use the rubber. I've already sold the fender skirts. I sold them about 3 years ago because I didn't need them. No need for a stock set of fender skirts for you haven't got the stock fenders, you know what I'm saying? But I kept the rubber for them. So, and this is actually the proper fender skirt. This is the proper fender skirt rubber. It's like a little kind of, I don't know if you can see that, like a little, you know, that shape at the end. So that'll hook over the lip, and then that'll be your compression part. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can make them work. Actually, they're a little bit wider than my lip allows for, so not going to quite work how I kind of envisaged it, but we'll have a think. Big speech about those rubbers. I do have another type of rubber that I could potentially use, but they might be too short. Yeah. We'll have a look see with this. I might cut a wee bit off, make sure I've got plenty to do both. Yeah, heaps. Well, that should be alright, I think. If I glue it a certain way, I might have to glue it and peg it. Another instance of like stuff I did in the past coming back to haunt me in the present is the return I did on these fender skirts. It's not actually the same all the way around. It does narrow down this end, and I can't remember why that is, but it's the same on both of them. I must have done it for some kind of reason. So you can see it on that one there. She's higher up in this tight corner and she shallows out down the bottom. And for some reason I've done both of them different, but I don't know why I did that. I must have done one and then did the second one and thought, oh, that's better, I'll get back to that later, and I never did. So what I'm gonna have to do is, like down here, you know, it fits probably bang on how it should, where it's down here where it's shallower, it tucks up, it's going to end up sticking out. So I'm going to have to, I'll glue it, and I'll have to just glue it back even with the edge sort of thing, glue it, peg it, and let it dry and stuff like that. So we'll give it a run. You know, the other option is just gluing on a piece of rubber strip sort of thing, something like which is what I did on my Plymouth actually. I didn't have the original rubbers for the skirt, so I just made something, and that was fine. It's just to stop vibration and shit. I mean, we've got that type of thing that could go around the edge, which is what I used on the this stuff here, yeah, which is what I used on the, but that's a bit thin. I used that on those inner fenders on the front of the 51. What do we got over here? That's that elbow shaped rubber. I used that on the front fenders as well. That'd be no good. Then we got this stuff here, and this is way too thick. You can get thinner versions of that on the roll, local hardware, but I think we'll try this rubber since it's kind of more factory, but might not kind of glue down as well. But we'll see. Depends on what kind of glue we use. Don't know what that'll be yet either. Might be that shoe repair stuff I used on the inner fenders. Anyway, we'll get set about cutting these up and seeing how we can make them fit, and take it from there. Cut these down. So cut a bit of extra. About there. Hopefully that leaves me enough for the other side. Yep, plenty. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is figure out where I need to cut reliefs to get around like this and that and stuff. Cut that off square. Bring that back to there. So cut that. Use a kniffy for that. Old yellow, old trusty. Had this little mamma jamma since I was an apprentice. Probably could come back a bit further actually. Go right to the edge, I guess. Alright, so this is the first hole. You need to make a hole in here. You need to relieve that there. And you need to make a hole about there. That stud to go through, and then you need a socket punch. Do the old puncharoo through here. Alrighty, so wallowed out that hole enough that it's kind of sitting in roughly the right spot. We're going to come around this side to the next stud, work out where that's going to be, which is right there. So I'll line that up, which is right here. So I'll line that there. I thought I'd move the camera and show you, hopefully not get my big head in the way. So for the centre of it, I'm pretty much going to have to punch it out right on there. So I might do that before we move on to the next hole. Yeah, put it back on again. Put this round onto there. So to get to the final hole, there, so come back slightly from where it's pushing through, do I? Yeah. Where? Right on there again, I reckon. How I get up that curve, I'm not sure yet. Might have to do some little pies in there to try and get it to come up, but we'll have a look once we got that hole punched. Put that back onto there. Get my little hole punch. Hole punching. 3, 2, 1, go. That one wasn't as clean. Oh, mine just bunged up. Need to clean that out. Just mark these where I've got to get around these bolt heads. These studs that I used on this were actually like a long shank high tensile bolt that I just cut all the threaded stuff off and tacked them on from the inside. Now that bit, it's close to conforming. If I cut a pie out of there, it should get me around that corner, I think. Out of there, you see, paying attention? Maybe a second one in there. Try that first one. What will happen if I glue that? Will it stay there? A radius like that. I need to cut that down more, I think. Trim that out of there. Cut that on a 45 just because it looks fancy. Looks like I know what I'm doing. Don't really. If I glue that and peg that, will that stay there? Is the ultimate question. And I don't think so. Maybe. Why is it pulling up there? Might be alright once it's, you know, kind of clamped in on the car. That's the thing. So I reckon if I can glue it and peg it like I did with those inner fender things, we might be on the money. And once it's actually clamped up in the car, it'll push itself closed as well. So I'm wondering, I'll glue it and peg it. Got more control over that, so I have to go and fish out all the pegs from the washing basket and yeah, get ready to do that. But before I do that, I'll get the other side to the same stage. Might need to get a new punch actually. This one here, I've kind of mushroomed it, so I don't know, it's not going to cut as clean. And I've got a little bit of trimming to do on one of these holes. I think I just wanted that one there. I want to push that rubber, be able to have it back slightly, a little bit more. So we'll get the other one to the same stage. So got both of these to the same stage now. So still pretty much had to do pie cuts and whatnot there. That's right, I was supposed to check that one there, I think, was it? I can't remember now. I think it was that one. It's sitting up a bit high, so I've got to trim that back. Pull that off now so I don't forget. Yeah. And yeah, so I've got to glue those and peg them all up. Not quite sure how I'm going to apply the glue yet, but whether I just sort of squeeze it into the thing and then try not to get glue all over the paint and stuff like that. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Alrighty, so that's that all glued, pegged, taped. Not trimmed yet though. I'll have to wait to trim that up once it's all dry, just these ends. I was going to trim them beforehand, but I thought, nah, I'll just trim them up after. Don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but that's how I'm gonna roll with that one. But yeah, whether this, I don't know if this tape's gonna stick to that that rubber that well, but it'll give it a fighting chance anyway. So we'll just leave that be. Once this gets kind of all clamped up in the wheel arches and that, it kind of helps hold it all in there better anyway, like, and gets a better edge, hopefully. So we'll see. Anyway, have a bit of a clean up and figure out what we're going to do next. Alright, I'm going to bring in some of the washing. My little fender skirt little brackets, we'll bolt those back on, get that particular task done. Basically it's just a couple of screws to hold them on. I'll show you in a sec if I haven't already. Hang those up. So I need a Phillips screwdriver. And yeah, let's have a look. A little bit of overspray in there, I have to touch that up. Okay, so these just go bolt on back here with these little machine screws somehow, if I can get the holes to line up. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's all they are. These are the original factory ones that are for the fender skirts. These came with the car. I actually got a spare one as well for some reason. But yeah, I didn't notice all that overspray up under here. I'll have to give that a bit of a touch up at some point. What's that? And yeah, just make it all nice and black. But I thought I'd been pretty particular when I masked all that I wasn't going to have any of those issues, but obviously not. Anyway, I'll do the other side and then we might put those other panels up on the inside. Okay, so that's both those on. I'm going to put these two inner panels in now, but to do that, the easiest way is actually going to be to jack it up, take the wheels off, and then I'll probably touch up that overspray while I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just get this thing jacked up and we will pull the wheels off, but I need to chuck some more air in the bags in the back so that pushes the diff down, so then I can jack it up high enough that I can get the wheels off. Do I need to mount? There's a process. I'll tell you when I figure it out. Alrighty, so try and show you how this works. Come up under here, don't mind all the overspray. Oh, shining in my eyes. So that opening up there is the what these weird little panels are for. Now these bolt on in a fairly straightforward fashion just there. But what I've just noticed is that these brackets, which I couldn't figure out what they were for, now kind of hanging down over the lip, which could make it a bit trickier to get my wheels on and off. So I'm going to cut those brackets off because I don't think I need them anymore, and then touch up the paint that I just painted yesterday. Okay, so just been and given the overspray a bit of a touch up in those rear inner guards. I thought I masked it better than that, honestly, unless it was like when I was touching up primers and different stages of the bodyworks and things like that, but I can't remember. But anyway, I cut off those extra tabs and I've touched up the paint on those, so I'm just cleaning all this blue engine enamel or whatever it is off these old Plymouth bolts. And then we can bolt them in, but I forgot I had these soaking here. See, they're all kind of all that old paint's coming off, but coming off quite nicely. See? Cool, mate. Nothing wrong with these bolts, they were just taken off. I think when I put new rocker covers on the 383 that was in the Plymouth. I think that's what they're from. Something that got swapped out anyway, and me being the cheapskate that I am and hoarder of sorts, I always keep nuts and bolts and things like that I take off things, because you put them in the magic nuts and bolts drawer, because you just never know when you're looking for that one, or you've dropped something and you just can't find it, and all you need is just one to get the job done. You don't want to have to go and drive 20 minutes one way and then spend 3/4 of an hour trying to talk to some guy in a hardware shop about the one bolt that you want, and then spend another 20 minutes driving back again. So that's why I keep that box of whole filing cabinet full of miscellaneous random nuts and bolts and crap that I've collected over the years. And that's only a small collection. I know people have got much bigger collections than that. I do kind of go through it once every few years and throw a lot of stuff out and then wonder where it is the next time I'm looking for it. But yeah, you know, that's just how it is. Four more to go. Yeah, there must have been. They've got some silicon RTV or something sort on there. So can't get all of the blue off on some of them. Some of them look like they're actually the body colour, so some of them look like engine colour, so I don't know. But yeah, they'll be alright. They'll be alright for what we want them to do, is what I'm trying to say. That's them, done. Rush out. Okay, so just using some mastic on the backs of these just as a kind of non-drying sealer. Chances of me actually taking these off again are pretty slim, but you never know. Like if I put something like a hard drying silicone or something on there, whoops, should watch where I'm going. They might be a bit of a pain in the ass to get off later on, whereas this stuff, it's actually a windscreen, not an adhesive, but a sealant. See, windscreen sealer. It's not to say you can't use it for other things, you know. And when you go rummaging through all the crap that you've hoarded over the years, and this is what you find, and amongst all your crap, then that's what you use. You know what I'm saying? It's probably a much better product for this type of job than this here, but I didn't have any in my stocks. Oh, what a mess. We got that around the right way? Yep. God, what a mission that was. I'm hardening my ass. That was hard. Okay, right, let's go and bolt these up. Alright, you want to see? Over here. Here we go. Okay, so this is it. It's not that exciting, it's just this stupid thing here. Okay, these has bolts that go in holes and then get tightened up and stuff like that. One goes in there like that, and then one goes in here like that, and then I just got to tighten them up. See, I could probably use like Torx. Yep. Righty. When you're tightening up your mystery plate that goes on the inside of your 51 fleet line, you got to tighten from the inside out. So it's a very specific tightening sequence that has to be followed with this, otherwise you could distort the shape of the body of the car quite significantly, and you don't want to do that. So you go 1, 2, 3, you torque it to 4 inch-pounds like that. Yeah. And then you have to come over here, back down the bottom, and then you, this one here has got to be done to 6 inch-pounds. Yeah. And then you come over here diagonally up the top. Hang on, need the light. And you got to come in a crisscross fashion to get that one there. And pinch that up just like so, and then across to the other one. And then swap arms, because that arm's got real tired now. And then fall off the nut all the time. Yeah. 4, 3, 3, and then 4. Click, click. And then over to this last one up for 6 inch-pounds. And then okay, 4, 5, click, click, 6. Right, now I'll get a rag on my finger and wipe away that extra stuff that's squeezed out. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's falling on me. Yeah, that'll be alright. Okay, so put my torch back on. Hey, that's that other one done. So just so you know, I'm not telling stories. Okay, so that's those two inspection panels up inside the guards done. Now I don't really know why they're there or what they're for. If you know, let me know in the comments. They seem kind of like a weird thing to have, like a inspection hatch inside the rear wheel arch that doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, you can get to the inner guard, but I don't know what that was for. But if you know, let us know. Maybe another model had trim that you needed to get in behind to bolt on, or something, clips or something like that. I don't know, but if you know, let us know. But anyway, I'm going to go and have some lunch now, and then we'll put the wheels back on and maybe put the skirts on. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so my glue didn't really work. It kind of did, but not really. So I've just been on a little trip down to the local hardware and picked up some F2 by ADOS contact adhesive, CRC. I don't know, it used to just be ADOS. It's a favourite of hood rats all over New Zealand, so must be good for something. Yeah, so I've just applied some F2 in here, and it's a contact adhesive, so you kind of got to put it in and let it sort of set up, and then push it home. So I'm just going to let that kind of tack off. I'll chuck this other wheel back on, and then yeah, hopefully those rubbers will be stuck on there. We never know. Well, you know, hopefully we do know. Hopefully they're stuck. Alrighty, so as you can see, I'm back into push tape, push tape. I think this F2's got a better chance of working than the other stuff I was using. F2's been around for a long time. What was I saying? F2. It's supposed to be a contact adhesive, and I think in the right situations it definitely is. It's just like you sort of spread it around. They use it a lot like in upholstery and stuff like that, so you kind of spread it on both surfaces, you let it tack off, and then it's done. I don't know whether I'm just too impatient and I don't let it tack off enough, or I'm trying to use it in situations like this where I've already got it half glued on and I'm trying to save my project, but I don't seem to get it to kind of work as a, what do you call it, like a, you know, direct contact. Get it set up and then just send it home, you know. Never quite goes according to plan for me, but it's probably me doing something wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with the product, otherwise it wouldn't still be around. It seems to still be holding tight. It was starting to stick in places, but not everywhere. I don't know how you get an even coverage. It might be one of those things that you're better off to just mask it all off, spray it evenly, stick it on, and then unmask everything. I don't know, but that would be a pain. But anyway, so we're back to all taped up, minus the pegs. That area kind of worked. Maybe the pressure helped with that other glue. But anyway, we'll let that set up. I don't know how long it takes. It's probably 12, 14, 58 hours or something like that, like they usually are. And yeah, I was kind of hoping to trim these up and get them put on. And then we're done for today. Suppose I can trim these up. They ain't gonna get any longer or shorter, so. Just like that. You can read that, according to this. They are adhesive to become tacky if they are sticky to the touch without transferring on your fingers. Yeah, that's what happened. You are ready to bond together. Yep, did that. Position components carefully. When contact is made, the bond is immediate. Where did we find that? Apply maximum overall pressure, taking care to expel any air bubbles to ensure complete bond. Yeah, I did that. Went around it about 5 times. It just didn't stick. Stick to itself and then just separate it. Stick, separate, stick, separate. But yeah, anyway, might be right. Failing that, we could just bin these skirts and run skirtless. Right, hey guys, so it's actually a few hours later, and where do I fly? God, one sunny day and all the flies come back. I've just pulled the masking tape and that off of here from holding it in place. It seems to have kind of gotten a bit better. There's a bit of visible glue, unfortunately, but I don't know how well it's going to stay holding kind of the way I would have liked it. I would have liked it to kind of really press in, but it doesn't seem to want to do that. And because my curves, my tip-ins on these skirts are probably a little bit rounder, it would have been nicer if they were a bit sharper, but it is what it is. And anywho, I put these back on, and then that's that done. Like, you know, undersealed and painted, and rubbers fitted. So hopefully we'll have a bit more joy with the door rubbers and stuff like that. That's all that's left. Well, there's window rubbers, but anyway, we'll put these in down here. Right, so I remember how to do this. It goes. Line up my dowels. It'll fit. Tucking in a bit up there, but it'll be alright. Don't think that's ever coming off again, but right, yeah, you can see a bit of the glue. It'll dirty up and it'll be fine. Right. Yeah, it doesn't even out my gap as much as I'd like, and it sits in a little bit in that top corner, but that's alright. It's supposed to be not perfect. That's what I'm going to keep saying anyway. So I'll just get the other side unmasked and put on, and then that might be about it. Okay, so that's the second one done. That rubber's sticking out a little bit there. I don't really know why. Maybe I glued it wrong. But that's alright. Tucks in a little bit in that front corner as well, a bit like this side, so at least it's consistent. But yeah, so fender skirts complete. Bunch of other, as you noticed, miscellaneous things painted, and the headlight buckets stripped and painted. They actually come up quite good, even though you're not going to see them. I'm quite happy with those. I mean, they're not perfect, like I said earlier. Ideally some sandblasting would have been great for those, but you can't actually see any of it. Not that that matters, that you can't see it. It should still be, you know, a good standard, but they're sealed up and protected and whatnot. What else we do? We got all those other bits and pieces in there, all painted. And I also painted up underneath the front guards, but I didn't bother filming all that. That's just a bit of squirting a bit of black around just to seal that stuff up. And yeah, so I think that's where we'll leave this video. I've got way too much footage already, and I have to trim that down to something palatable. Basically about a whole bunch of fairly boring stuff, but it's all part of building something like this, or kind of restoring all these pieces. Not a restoration, you know that, but it's, you know, like making these pieces good enough to put on a car. If you're gonna do it, you know, you don't want to half-ass it. You kind of want to, you know, seal all this stuff up, protect all this stuff, so this car gets another 70 years. But yeah, so that's it for this video. Don't forget you're on Instagram, Facebook, and here on the YouTube. And as always, thanks for watching, and like, share, comment, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, that would be awesome. And until next time, take it easy and peace.